So, today we once again gonna go ahead with Homo Deus, or however it is pronounced. I should actually look it up, because I'm often talking about it, or at least every single fucking time talking about it, and I still don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I hope that there's gonna be a little bit more of cool things today, but we're gonna see. We're gonna go ahead after the intro, as always. And there's no sound, so I'm gonna just talk through, and then it is gonna be fine. And with that being said, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I'm pretty fucking happy to be here and record. Also because I have once again kind of tweaked my setup a little tiny bit. So I do hope that you do not notice anything in terms of the sound. I do feel like that it is even a bit better. I don't actually know why. I'm normally having a screen right there. So actually on this side, a TV screen. I've just had it. Back in the days, I've had it to just watch TV. Then it was only used for playing PlayStation, and then I've just only been using it as a second screen because sometimes it's a pretty neat and cool thing to have that. But at the time, I was just not using it, and so I thought, well, let's just get my stereo again. Because there is a lot of dust in my fucking PC, which makes everything fucked up. Especially like the sound. It really is fucked up. It pisses me off a bit. So I actually have to clean it someday. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna deal with my stereo there. I hope that it is fine. And we're just gonna go ahead, I think. And it is already there, which is a pretty neat thing. And, I have made sure that I'm having some blankets there. So it should be a bit of soundproofment there. But yeah, and I'm probably also not just so much to the right, I guess, because previously I was like this. Now I'm just really kind of in the middle, which is nice, I guess. But well, anyway, for the best of our knowledge, only sapiens can cooperate in very flexible ways with countless numbers of strangers. This concrete capability, rather than an eternal soul or some unique kind of consciousness, explains our mastery of planet Earth. Yes, indeed, because, which is actually something interesting. I haven't been thinking about it before, but I thought about foxes. I don't know why I thought about foxes, but I don't really know if some strangers, in terms of foxes, if they're gonna just work together, because I don't really believe in that. Don't believe in that. On one hand, it is also a bad thing for us, because this means that we're trusting in just complete strangers. We're trusting in just some people. Of course, it might be due to evolutionary processes. It might be due to us understanding that not everyone's gonna kill us. I think back in the days, just back as Homo sapiens, we would have not done that, I guess. Especially also because there was other species of humans. And I don't really think that it would have worked out that well. On the other hand, as I said, maybe we're too friendly, if you will, or something, but it's definitely due to evolutionary processes, I guess. And I do, by the way, wonder in which way generation for generation is going to change in ways, and in which ways. It's actually pretty interesting. I thought about siblings and stuff. I don't know, because obviously their worlds change because of technology, because of society in pretty huge ways as well, and also other reasons and other things. So does it also fuck with their genes and their just natural kind of senses, maybe, if you will? I don't know. This is bad news for psychologists, sociologists, economists, and others who try to decipher human society through laboratory experiments. For both organizational and financial reasons, the vast majority of experiments are conducted either on individuals or on small groups of participants. Yet it is risky to extrapolate from small group behavior to the dynamics of mass societies. A nation of 100 million people functions in a fundamentally different way to a band of 100 individuals. Which is definitely the case. Most people presume that reality is either objective or subjective and that there is no third option. Hence, once they satisfy themselves that something isn't just their own subjective feeling, they jump to the conclusion it must be objective. If lots of people believe in God, if money makes the world go round, and if nationalism starts wars and builds empires, then these things aren't just a subjective belief of mine. God, money, and nations must therefore be objective realities. Yeah, I get what he's kind of referring to. Yes. Yeah. It's indeed a problem because what what is if really a lot of people are believing in the same thing? Of course it is not subjective anymore, but since we're not having a third one, then it is just objectively their reality and it is what it is. But no, it is not actually, because it is a subjective opinion that is, do you say spared? But it is produced, that is thought of, that is practiced, whatever, by a lot of people. So yeah, it is objective subjectivity, isn't it? Or mass subjectivity, or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. However, there is a third level of reality, the intersubjective level. Intersubjective entities depend on communicating among many humans rather than on the beliefs and feelings of individual humans. Many of the most important agents in history are intersubjective. Money, for example, has no objective value. You cannot eat, drink over a dollar bill. Yet as long as billions of people believe in its value, you can use it to buy food, beverages, and clothing. Which is definitely the case, and I've been talking about it before, and it is fucked up if you think about it, because it's worth nothing. Absolutely nothing. Back in the days, yes. This point in time, not really. Yet we don't want to accept that our God, our nation, or our values are mere fictions, because these are the things that give meaning to our lives. We want to believe that our lives have some objective meaning and that our sacrifices matter to something beyond the stories in our head. Yet in truth, the lives of most people have meaning only within a network of stories they tell one and another. Yes, i.e. religion, which I think is the best example there, and or just also other kind of communities and stuff, that you are a good person if you do X and Y and Z, because you're in this network, because you're just with these people, but outside of these people, it might just be, it might be the complete opposite, that when you're doing this, you're a fucking asshole, for example. Or just think about tribes. I mean, if you kill somebody, maybe it's cool there, I don't know. But if you kill somebody just in modern societies, then no, it's not cool. Nobody appreciates that. Most often, the thing is, there's so many different variables, and I've been speaking about it before. So I don't know, communicating something as, okay, this is what it is a little bit harsh and a little bit difficult as well, because I don't know, if somebody kills a terrorist, everyone's gonna be happy, quite. So yeah, you know what I mean. And I also know that you know what I mean, which is kind of the beauty about that. Yeah. Why does a particular action such as, have I skipped something? No. Why does a particular action such as getting married in church, fasting on Ramadan, or voting on election day seem meaningful to me? Because my parents also think it is meaningful, as do my brothers, my neighbors, people in nearby cities, and even the residents of far-off countries. And why do all these people think it is meaningful? Because their friends and neighbors also share the same view. People constantly reinforce each other's beliefs in self-perpetuating loop. As human fictions are translated into genetic and electronic codes, the intersubjective reality will swallow up to the objective reality, and biology will merge with history. In the 21st century, fiction might thereby become the most potent force on Earth, surpassing even wayward asteroids and natural selection. Hence, if we want to understand our future, cracking genomes and crushing numbers is hardly enough. We must also decipher the fictions that give meaning to the world. Which I think is just a really important part, because, this is also one of the reasons why some people are happy, because they're just telling themselves some stories that make them happy, just meaning in life, as Viktor Frankl pointed out as The Why Cafe, which is an amazing book and you should read it. You can find it for free on archive.com. You can borrow it for 14 days, then you can read it and then you can just give it back. It's an amazing book, one of the best books that I've read in just really quite a long time, and actually one of the only books that I've read in a really quite long time, because I was interested, and it is indeed a fucking amazing one about meaning, about consumerism, about just all that kind of things, which is quite a lot of things that I often talk about. And this was quite the funny thing about that. Like, I got the suggestion to read it, and I went through a summary also on a podcast, so you can check it out. And I was really quite not sure if everything in the summary is actually also in the book, because it sounds so strange that all the things that I often talk about are in this fucking book. Then I've looked it up, and I've seen that, as I said, it is for free online and also legal, it's not some illegal bullshit or some shit. And it is also just not that long. I think it is 153 pages, but if you just take a look at the digital version of it that you can then read for free, it's, I think, 55 pages times 2, basically, because you have left and right, basically, which makes it, I think, 53, 106 pages quite, but in the end you're having 53 pages because, 2 sides are on one page, or 2 pages are on one page, basically. So yeah, part 2. Homo sapiens give meaning to the world. When in due course the Europeans penetrated the African interior, armed with their agreed upon map, they discovered that many of the borders drawn in Berlin did little justice to the geographic, economic, and ethnic reality of Africa. However, to avoid renewed clashes, the invaders stuck to their agreements, and these imaginary lines became the actual borders of European colonies. During the second half of the 20th century, as the European empires disintegrated, and their colonies gained independence, the new countries accepted the colonial borders, fearing that the alternative would be endless wars and conflicts. As we're seeing it at this point in time as well, that Africa is like just very harsh and straight lines, and that's quite it. But I don't know, like, I also haven't been thinking about it that, at least in quite some while, but indeed, I mean, there just must be some places in Africa where those borders are just complete nonsense and bullshit. There just must be some places, I think in general, I guess, I mean, like, also complaining about that, it's just really unnecessary bullshit, because it is what it is, and, we're not going to change it now. Also because, like, if you expand your region, then somebody else has to give you something. And this is probably something that nobody's going to do. But also, on the other hand, why would you give away some land? Why would you give away parts of your thing just because it is maybe more convenient or something? Maybe you can be doing this, if it is actually making it way more convenient for you. So why not then? But I don't really believe in that, I just don't. Our modern education system provides numerous other examples of reality, no towing to written records. When measuring the width of my desk, the yardstick I'm using matters little. The width of my desk remains the same whether I say it is 200 centimeters or 78.74 inches. However, when bureaucracies measure people, the yardsticks they choose make all the difference. When schools began assessing people according to precise numerical marks, the lives of millions of students and teachers changed dramatically. When schools began assessing people according to precise and numerical numbers. I see. It's about grading, isn't it? Which I think is actually a great thought there. The width of my desk remains the same when I say it is 200 centimeters or 78.74 inches. Which, for 2 reasons, it is interesting. The one reason is, or the first reason is, that if you say it is 200 centimeters, it is higher. It is a bigger number than when you say 78.74 inches, let alone just the metrics there, the system. But it just sounds much more. It sounds maybe even better. So if I say I'm having an A, which, because we know it's a higher thing, it is a better thing, I'm still the same person, even though it is a higher thing, quite, So yeah, it's a cool thought there. Cool, at least if I'm just getting it right, I don't fucking know. Originally, schools were supposed to focus on enlightening and educating students, and marks marks were merely a means of measuring success. But naturally enough, schools soon began focusing on achieving high marks. As every child, teacher, and inspector knows, the skills required to get high marks in an exam are not the same as a true understanding of literature, biology, or mathematics. Every child, teacher, and inspector also know that when forced to choose between the two, most schools will go for the marks. Between what two systems? So every child, teacher, and inspector knows are not the same as understanding blah 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 blah. So is it about just either you get a mark or you just go for understanding things? Which, I mean, yes, I think there's just a plain and simple reason why we are gonna go for marks, because how can you ensure that somebody understands something? You can't ensure that. You can't make somebody understand something they just wouldn't get. Some people just don't get something. Of course, it is gonna take more time for them. And maybe this is also a problem, you can't just quote unquote afford all the time to make everyone understand everything. and just be like, okay, you get a good mark if you just are good at it, and that's quite it. If you've understood it or not, I just don't give a fuck. But yeah, you get a mark. I mean, I think for me it makes sense because, as I said, I mean, I don't really think that you can ensure that people are gonna understand it. But on the other hand, I do really want to point out, and I do really have to say that if you understand something, if you understand the concepts and fundamentals and the principles of, for example, mathematics, you're gonna have a way easier time. It's gonna be way better for you. You know, it's actually fucking dumb to be like, okay, I'm gonna just learn every single exercise so that I know it, and when it's in the exam, then I know what exact I have to do, or what I have to do exactly. It's bullshit. Doesn't make any fucking sense, because you're just wasting, first of all, a lot of time, and second of all, you just don't understand it. So what happens if the exercise is a different one, you know, slightly different one? Then you're fucked, quite, you know. But if you understand the concept, then you can really adapt to all the problems that might come up, you know, whether it is something that's very easy, something that you've already done, or it is something that you didn't do before, but you know the fundamentals, the rules of the game, you know, and you need to know the rules so that you can break them. The system has sufficient authority to influence admission standards to colleges and hiring standards in government offices and in the private sector. Students therefore invest all their efforts in getting good marks. Coveted or coveted positions are occupied by people with high marks who naturally support the system that brought them there. The fact that the education system controls the critical exams gives it more power and increases its influence over colleges, government offices, and the job market. If somebody protests that the degree certificate is just a piece of paper and behaves accordingly, he's unlikely to get very far in life. Well, I'm not sure. I do believe that this book might have been written in, 5 years ago or something. Maybe since then something has a bit changed. At least in my mind. I think that, grades can say something. Marks can say something. I believe in that. In a way that I have to say, like, if because I wouldn't say that only because somebody gets good grades, it's like, okay, he's just learning things and he's not very smart, but whatnot. But no, this doesn't have to be the case, you know? Somebody just also can be really fucking smart and understand concepts very easily. And then you're just gonna have a nice and good time in school. You know, it's like vacation then. So I don't know, like highly intelligent people, they're gonna have an easier life there, you know, quite. So yeah. On the other hand, of course, there's also gonna be people that just learn everything and they can't do shit. I don't know where I've stopped, but it doesn't matter, you know. Things do not matter. Let's see. Well, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead. I've just talked about something, but anyway. The key question, though, is whether this is the right yardstick for measuring success. A school principal would say, our system works. During the last 5 years, exam results have risen by 7.3%, yet is that the best way to judge a school? ? And not by the smiles people have when they go to school, for example. Which I think is also just, at least for me and I've seen it as well. Like, the happier I am in school, the better I'm also going to be, you know, quite. Because it's then not a place where I just do not want to be, you know. If it is a place where I really want to be and I'm fine with it, then I'm going to have a better time. Quite. So, yeah, I think it makes sense. Human cooperative networks usually judge themselves by yardsticks of their own invention, and not surprisingly, they often give themselves high marks. In particular, human networks built in the name of imaginary entities such as gods, nations, and corporations normally judge their success from the viewpoint of the imaginary entity. A religion is successful if it follows divine commandments to the letter. A nation is glorious if it promotes the national interests. And a corporation thrives if it makes a lot of money. Which is just also a belief. Even though I wouldn't generalize all of them. You know, I wouldn't say that for all companies, religions, churches per se. You know, because only you're part of a religion doesn't mean that you're just really like so, you know, how should I say, dumb about yardsticks. You know, in terms of like, you know, I'm just gonna follow it just straight blindly and whatnot. Not every church is like that. You know, there's gonna be some churches, even though they are whatnot, what religion they might be. But, it doesn't matter, but they might be measuring things in a different way, or in multiple ways. You can also do that. When examining the history of human network, it is therefore advisable to stop from time to time and look at things from the perspective of some small entity. How do you know if an entity is real? Very simple, just ask yourself, can it suffer? When people burn down the temple of Zeus, Zeus doesn't suffer. When the euro loses its value, the euro doesn't suffer. When a bank goes bankrupt, the bank doesn't suffer. When a country suffers a defeat in war, the country doesn't really suffer. It is just a metaphor. In contrast, when a soldier is wounded in a battle, he really does suffer. When a famished peasant has nothing to eat, she suffers. When a cow is separated from her newborn calf, she suffers. This is reality. It is often said that God helps those who help themselves. This is a roundabout way of saying that God doesn't exist, but if our belief in Him inspires us to do something ourselves, it helps, and then it is fine. Which I think is one of the greatest points. Like, if it is something that helps you, believing in God, believing in something, whether it is, I don't know, like, I don't care. But if it is something that can help you and that can help you manage your life and do good things and be a good human being and all those things, do that. It's a good idea. It's a nice thing. So, yeah, that's it. The last one. Antibiotics, unlike God, help even those who don't help themselves. They cure infections, whether you believe in them or not. What about placebos then? I think this is a great point. They help and they do something. If you believe in them. If you don't believe in them, they're not going to do anything. Basically, but we just believe in them anyway. The question of today. And it is loading. Motherfucker. No, it is working. What could you say? What could you make? What could you do to make somebody else's life better? That's quite it. What could you make? And yeah, with that being said, I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person, which is a nice thing, a cool thing. And yeah, I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. And 3 questions that I'm having for you are, why are you here? What are you trying to change, and what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is a good thing. Purpose per se is nice and amazing, and just, I don't know, it's enough basically. But if you're also having a business idea with that, it's like, mwah, it's just A++, or 100%, or just super amazing. However you want to call it. But yeah, anyway, I'm hopefully going to see you next time. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And bye-bye.